I miss the old Cameron. This is really trash music with zero emotion in it. I understand that you don't want to do future garage anymore, and it's okay, but this is just a musical product because I can't call it music. This product is absolutely sterile and lifeless.
I'm so sick of these fucking YouTube
How should we feel when
influencers
listening
thinking
to
that
this?
they're any good?
What,
Jesus
a
Christ.
cool atmospheric sound for cheap mobile games?
Well, and here I
The
was
sound
adjusting
design has
to
nothing to
musical
do with art.
masterpiece.
It's
We get
just
this
a bunch of
fucking
sounds.
Well, and here I was
I don't even
expecting
want to
some
take
kind
a
of
shit
musical
listening to
masterpiece.
these.
We
Just
get this
these types of beats have no art value.
LOL, and
even
here I was
balls.
expecting some kind of musical
You can just delete
masterpiece.
this comment
Fake
if you're
music
using it.
bullshit.
I just want you to think about
Soy
it.
boy faggot.
You were a
What kind of
musician
sensitive faggot
and a
bullshit
hero
is
to me,
this?
but now you're just a blogger who's no different from those morons who sit there advertising MIDI packs. Hey guys, here's a new plugin to make elevator music. Oh, here's another one. Oh, here's another one. So many plugins to make meaningless sounds. You showed people how to make future garage. But now we just have a dump of non-musicians that make sounds that just pretend to be more simple. Burial equals art. 99% of the rest of it really is just pathetic parody of YouTube. Some talk about how cold and empty the room is. Others talk about how pleasant sounds their synthesizer makes. That has nothing to do with music. That's all I wanted to say. Good luck in the industry. You wanted to get into it, you got into it. You were a dreamer, your music was alive, but now you're just a robot that produces shit graphic music. Tra-ta-ta. Dude, how nice that sounds. Yeah, it's infuriating why you're on our campus. I hope the end of it somewhere in the depths of your soul, something to write on. In a couple of years, get it over with and just fucking kill yourself. For me, and for a lot of people, music is and always has been a sort of escape. Between dealing with daily life and family and work, or the struggles of being a creator, or the constant inner turmoil of being an artist, it's nice to put on a record or go into a writing session and disappear completely somewhere else, at least for a little while. A few months ago, I started having panic attacks, and I'm not talking feeling a bit down and a bit jittery. I'm talking my heart feeling like it's going to jump out of my chest and having trouble breathing or standing up and feeling like I am literally about to die. After a couple months of this, it became pretty clear that where I was at and what I was doing was no longer sustainable, and I needed to start figuring something out, and that something was learning to acknowledge what I was feeling. As a creator and an artist, oftentimes the pursuit of the therapeutic aspects of the process of creation and the feeling of catharsis are the broader goal rather than the sole commercial appeal of the creation in question. The process of creating can be easy and it can be effortless and it can all flow together and give you the end result, but sometimes it's really fucking hard to create. And I think what I've learned is that in those times where it's hardest is where it's the most useful and the most meaningful. So I went and made an album. Over time with this channel, I have inevitably ruffled a few feathers along the way. For whatever reason, a music production and education channel can become so controversial and offensive. And I guess, as my dad would say, if you're not making a few enemies, you're probably doing it wrong. However, what once was the occasional spicy comment or stupid thing quickly became a lot of just outright hate and toxicity, and even death threats and a couple of stalkers. Of course, criticism and toxicity is nothing new to me. I am a grown adult, I have been involved in the music business for a long time now, and I've been on the internet for a long time, so this stuff doesn't really rattle my cage. However, over time as the channel grew and I found myself in a position where I am literally in front of hundreds of thousands of people every single month, the number and frequency of this kind of stuff scales up and it becomes a lot harder to ignore. One of the things that weighs on me the most with this channel is that when it first started, I was able to reply to every single comment and talk and engage with everyone. And over time, as the channel scaled up and when sometimes I'm receiving hundreds of comments a day, it's just not possible to do that anymore, and that hurts for some reason. Ultimately, when you watch one of my videos, by the end of that video, ideally you will be inspired to go out and make or try something. And even if that means you disagree with everything I've said and everything else, that's fine, as long as it makes you go out there and make something. I don't care either way. So with that, of course, I want the community of this channel to be a positive and welcoming place for everyone, no matter if you disagree or not. But as a way of maintaining the community of this channel, that means once or twice a month I have to spend a day going through the comments and everything else and playing janitor. So realistically, what this means is that despite the absolutely overwhelming amount of positive comments and encouragement and everything else I get, the loud minority often wins out, because that is what I am required to be exposed to maintain the positivity of everything. I never intended for this channel to really go anywhere. I started it because I was at a point in my life where I was bored and depressed and needed something to do before I completely lost my mind. So I figured I'll just start making some videos that I wish I had. It was a great way to keep myself busy at first, but then things grew to a point where YouTube was a much bigger deal. And as the channel scaled, it became this really weird feedback loop. The less I took time to focus on my music, the more time I could focus on the channel. The more time I focused on the channel, the less time I had for music. However, the more I focus on the channel, the more the channel grows. The more work I put into the channel, the more work I can get. But then the more work that comes from the channel, the more I have to work and the less time I have to focus on the channel. And ultimately, given that I am even afforded these rare opportunities, do I not have some form of an obligation to pursue them? On top of this circle from hell, I have to manage comments. I need to make posts on social media. I need to interact and engage with this community on some level. And I need to answer a billion different emails and sit through a billion different meetings, and then somehow still find time to maintain the upkeep of the channel, create new content for the channel, get the work done that I need to get done, and also find time to simply exist as a human being. The real truth here is it got to a point where I was just working nonstop. I was able to quit my 9-to-5 because of the channel and the work that comes from it, but with the channel and the work that comes from it, my new 9-to-5 quickly became a 24/7, because ultimately I am a part of not one, but two industries ruled by a breakneck pace, and both of which can entirely disappear from you at any moment. If I'm being real, I still struggle with this a lot. I have the option to continue to grow, and I feel that I have an obligation to do so, but at the same time, I end up having no time to do the things I really enjoy, like going outside for a walk with my wife and dog, or having time to sit down and eat dinner with my family, or to just simply play a video game for an hour. At this point, there was just so much pressure building up from all this negativity and all of this frustration and all of this just panic and anxiety into my system. And I needed to get it out somehow. But with everything that was going on, it started to become this point of no matter what I'm going to do, somebody is just going to take a giant shit all over it. So why bother doing it at all? After a lovely dinner with my own fear and self-loathing, I picked myself up by my bootstraps and realized that the only way I was going to create something was by using all of this negativity and fueling that to ultimately attempt to create something out of it. And hopefully that thing would be positive, and I would come out, at the very least, a bit neutral. There's a really great video from Heinbach called Hate Loops, where the idea was to turn all of this negativity into the final piece, and I thought that was a really inspiring idea. So after some thinking, I settled on the idea of trying to write the soundtrack of my mental state and, in a way, sort of score these panic attacks. Was this easy? No. A lot of my initial attempts at what later became this album were complete and utter garbage, but from all of these failures, I was able to build up what I needed in order to get to the final result. All of these failures and ideas led me to explore some techniques and ideas and methodologies and approaches that I would have never even remotely considered otherwise, and suddenly the whole process became so creatively and personally liberating because I just didn't care anymore. So with that weird bit of encouragement, I kept going, and for the most part, I kept this whole endeavor largely to myself. It was much more fun to create and let the pieces fall where they may and put the final thing together somewhere afterwards. After a few months of this weird creative burst, I was finally able to put everything together and create an album. And that was such a liberating thing because suddenly all this negativity and all this toxicity that had built up into my system had turned into a tangible thing that I could pick up and finally cast out. And I don't care where it goes from there. And I think that was one of the most positive experiences I've ever had with my own works. And that, ladies and germs, is the story behind my new album, Motions and Echoes. And I'm glad it's over, and I have to say I feel a lot better now. Your music and your art are your own, and nobody is ever going to be better at sounding like you than you are. And it can be a powerful thing to use those moments of fear and anger and hate and frustration and doubt to fuel your creative process and ultimately drive you forward, uncomfortable as it may be at times. Not only will this challenge you as a person and as an artist, and not only will you grow from it, but I think in the end, you will have something to show for it that is so deeply personal and human and real and alive that no one will ever be able to recreate. So, I don't know. I guess if there's a takeaway from this, regardless of what you believe spiritually or otherwise, you are here now in this moment, and this moment and all the ones preceding it that led up to it will never ever exist again and never repeat. So you may as well express that truth of yourself and your existence in these moments through your art. And who knows, it might even turn out good.